So this is our pellet stove. It's a Harmon. I think it's the advanced model. We've had this for probably maybe more than that. Maybe I'd say going on like 12 years now. It's been a while. And I wanted to talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of them real quick. The advantage of them is they're easy and they're efficient. You know, you're burning bags of pellets that are 40 pounds. Pellets now, at the time of this video, are about $6-7 a bag. When we first got our stove, they were probably, I think they were around like $3 a bag I was getting them for. But disadvantage is, you know, it requires 110 power. And whereas, you know, a wood stove, you don't need any power. Advantage, today it's right now it's 27 degrees out. It's afternoon. This morning it was 5. This hopper was filled yesterday with a 40-pound bag, and that's what's left. There's still about maybe a third of a bag in there that's left. If you have one of these and you figure out how to regulate them, you don't need to burn a huge fire in these things, because honestly, with the blower coming out of here, if you crank them up too high, it will run you out of the room that it's in. It'll get so hot. This stove right now, this has been running almost a week straight because it's been so cold. We're in the middle of a very cold spell here. And with the ceiling fan running, it will heat this room, the kitchen, and the dining room. We have like a circular area here. It will heat all this area. In fact, it even heats the sunroom back there if you leave the doors open, as long as you got, you know, the fan going. The outer rooms will get a little bit colder. They'll still be livable, but, you know, it might be 10-15 degrees colder in the satellite rooms at each end of the house. But for the majority of it, you know, in a pinch, this will get you by, just this one unit. When we put this unit in, it was $6,000 we paid, and that was installed where they ran the pipe. We have a rancher. They ran up through the attic, out the roof in the back. It's not a very big pipe. I think this is looks like about a 5-inch pipe. And the good thing about these is the way that it's, you know, you're burning stuff that's very dry, and there's not a lot of soot, you know, like where you would get with the wood stove. So you don't really have the threat of fire in your flue the same as you do with the wood stove. And as you can see, I can hold this. This is warm. It's very warm, but it's not so hot that I can't touch it. So, and that's throttled down pretty low. And the way this is running, like I said, 25-degree temps, it's heating all this. So I've had this before in a pinch where I've run it off a generator. You have to make sure you have a good generator, like a Honda, something that's got a clean sine wave. But a little suitcase 2,000-watt generator that I have that will run about 8 hours on a gallon of gasoline will run this stove. It'll run the refrigerator. It'll run a couple lights. It'll run the TV. So it doesn't draw a lot of power. It's just basically a blower that you're running that's pushing air out of here, and the feed, which is just a little spiral ramp that feeds the pellet it's in. And the way the controls are set up is you have a feed adjuster here, and as you can see, it's pretty low. You go 1 through 6, and that's how fast your pellets are going into the hopper. The thing lights itself. This is the off. You turn it on, it automatically fills the hopper. It has an igniter in there, and it starts the process. It lights it up, and then once it gets hot, the blower comes on. You can run it off. This model is room temperature, stove temperature. I just run it off room temperature, which is kind of like a manual mode, and that's how I've always run it. Cleaning is the only down spot. It's a pain, but this is the hopper for the ash, and it just unlatches here and on the other side here, and it just slides out, and that's the ash tray. You could probably burn, oh my gosh, probably close to 30 bags before this is completely full. It's pretty big. But cleaning it, Yeah, because this ash is very dry, there's a lot of parts to take out. The back grate where the brick is comes out. There's plates in there to come out, and you have to get a vacuum cleaner that has a HEPA filter because the dust is so fine. It's almost like a talc. It's so fine. It's not my favorite thing to do to clean this. This door comes off, and I usually wet this with a paper towel on the inside and scrape it with a razor blade, and you get the glass clean again. And this has been burning. It's been about 3 weeks since I've cleaned this, so as you can see, it starts to ash over. But it's been a good fit for our house, because when we first moved in, we had propane. Propane was very expensive. We didn't have natural gas at our house, so to offset the cost of the propane, we went and got this, and it did. It was cheaper to run this than to do propane. So basically, you have the way this runs is the air it's heating up the grate that's up here, and it's just pushing this air over a hot grate that's you can't even see it. It's up in there. So the heat rises, it heats that. This air coming out of here is very warm. I would say right now it's about the same as like a hair dryer, but it's a lot of air that it's pushing. And then the exhaust is way down in here, and there's a pipe that runs through. So the exhaust is low in the back. So I guess that's why this doesn't get too hot. Now, if you crank this up and max it out, or crank it up, considerably, this will get too hot to hold on to. But right now it's not that hot. Now, whether it's a good fit for you, I would imagine these are probably installed now. I would say probably over 10 grand to have one of these installed now, with the way everything's increased in price. But it's nice that it's a different heat. It's almost nice when you're cold to just come over here and stand in front of this thing. It's almost like taking a hot shower, the way that the heat comes out and dissipates. But in all the years we've had this, I've only had one issue, and that is there's a probe that goes in that tunnel I was talking about that's like a temperature sensor, and it's just a metal thing with a lead on it and a clip, and it plugs in. I think it costs maybe $10-20. I've replaced that once, and but it is starting to get issues with the dials here. They're getting a little touchy, and there's a circuit board that controls all these. You can't just replace like one solenoid or one adjuster. It's the whole thing. I priced it out. It's like, I think it was like $180, $200 or something for this board that now is getting ready to be replaced. So that'll be the next thing I have to do. But in all the years we've had it, that's it. It's been pretty much trouble-free. And Harmon is a good name. I would definitely buy another Harmon. It's been really good to us. It has shown its age a little bit. There's, the finish is wearing a little bit, but it's not like up here. It's just warm. It's not hot. The glass is hot, and you wouldn't want to touch that. If you have little kids, that might be a concern. But it's very efficient. It's been very good to us over the years. So if you have any questions, if you're considering buying a pellet stove and you have a question, about anything I'm not covering here, leave me a comment and I'll answer it. Right, boo-boos? You like the pellet stove? You like the pellet stove. I like the pellet stove.